Well, thanks for the introduction. Guys, I'm Mr. Brownwheel, and some of you might know me from my NFT talks on Telegram. I've been in NFTs since 2017, and I have seen many projects trying to innovate. But they often end up copying gimmicks from one another, and with Floki, we have an opportunity to do things differently. Enter Valhalla, where we will create an industry disrupting blockchain game with on chain interactions. Also, we will be introducing novel play to earn mechanics. Our whole economy will run on Floki, so anything you buy or sell, Floki will be involved. So get ready for our own 3D NFT metaverse, Valhalla.
Well said, Mr. V. Well said. But before we dive into it, I'd like to quickly go over just a few technical features of this stream. Because as you may or may not have noticed, four numbers are displayed at the very top of the screen. These are live numbers pulled from the blockchain, or well, blockchains. As you see on the top right, we have the live price of Floki on the Binance Smart Chain. To the left of it, the live price of Floki on the Ethereum chain. Then we have our current actively circulating supply of Floki tokens. And at the very left, we have our actual live market cap. This is calculated using the correct prices of both the Ethereum chain and the Binance Smart Chain combined.
Also, on the bottom right, guys, you might see something interesting. It's the first iteration of the Valhalla logo. It might give you a hint of what's to come. So, without further ado, Jackie, let's go. Let's show them what we've got.
Alright then. Project X, introducing to you Valhalla. A project that can now be almost fully revealed. So I'd like to welcome everyone to Valhalla, our own metaverse with on-chain game interactions. And in Valhalla, you'll be entering the 13th realm. Forgotten about in legends, forgotten about in myths, a realm in desperate need of a hero, and that hero is you, Floki Viking. And to start us off on a wonderful note, namely Floki Island. Floki Island is home to many Vikings and mythical creatures, yet it is only a tiny part of the 13th realm. You'll be exploring the island and all that the world has to offer you. And to start us off with an appropriate quote of a Floki Viking, to travel 1,000 rust, start with a single step, by Viggo Arnarsson.
Yeah, Jackie, that is indeed a wise Viking. But there's also another quote, namely, "It is dangerous to go alone, but I got this." Well, actually, he didn't get it because he died without fame, without fortune. Like you see, unnamed dead Viking. That's right. You will visit Professor Musk before you venture any further. Go ahead, Jack.
Exactly, that's right. You'll meet Professor Musk at university to start off your journey not alone, but with a companion. But before you go there, let's give you a brief overview of the island. Welcome to Floki Island. At first glance, a wonderful paradise, but don't be fooled. It's inhabited by Vikings and all sorts of creatures. But as you can see, there are quite a few interesting places on the island as well. Notably, you might have spotted B's shop, or the university in the middle, and of course the Million Gardens movement gardening areas. Also, the interesting dungeon at the bottom right. Who knows? It might house a few mythical creatures. So before you go and meet Professor Musk, a short introduction about the mythical creatures found in Valhalla. I present to you the Vera, short for Veratil. And for the ones that do speak Old Norse, you know this means to be obtainable. There's a plethora of Vera to be encountered in your Viking adventure. You won't venture out alone as a Viking, you go out with a companion. And your first companion is hand-selected by Professor Musk. He is responsible for giving all players, all Vikings, a unique gaming experience by presenting them with a companion that has various distinct traits and, of course, its own quirky personality.
Yeah, and each Vera has more than 9 quadrillion unique variations. You heard that right. With the Q, 9 quadrillion variations, guaranteeing unique playthroughs for everyone.
Exactly. And to jump in with some technical mumbo jumbo, I'd like to say that Vera are what we call upgradable NFTs. These aren't your regular NFTs, nor are they NFTs that will show their hidden attributes at a later point in time. No, Vera are very unique. As you play the game, your Vera changes. Each interaction you do raises its prowess, its abilities, and of course, its value. So let's dive a bit deeper into one of these Vera and the concept of upgradable NFTs. So let me present to you my main Vera, a flamboyant Salamaniac. Right now, a small subset of Vera attributes is or are visible on the left side of your screen. Emphasis on small subset because, well, putting the entirety of a Vera's attributes on the screen would result in, let's say, eye-damaging small fonts. So let's not do that. But let's look at a few of the most notable attributes right now, namely personality and its innate values. Each Vera is born with a specific personality trait, 1 out of 32 possibilities. And this trait is responsible for certain, yet to be disclosed, attribute and ability modifiers of your Vera. In this case, for my Vera, the flamboyant Salamaniac, so you'll notice that it's of the Salamaniac species, species number 8, and it was born with such a high potential value that Professor Musk put his stamp of approval on it. This one's gonna make it. And in some cases he might say, well, I wouldn't keep this one. Well, in others, well, that's a keeper. And in addition to these attributes, Vera are also born with certain abilities, and not all Vera share the same ones, even if they're of the same species. In my example case, you see our Salamaniac has 3 abilities, namely Scratch, Crush Grip, and Pyroblast. Now as it goes through life and gains experience along its journey, it's able to learn new abilities. And these abilities aren't static. This means that for the same Vera, at the same place, at the same time, for a different player, a different ability might be learned. And you won't be presented with just one ability. You'll be able to select one from a randomly selected pool for that specific moment of your Vera's life cycle. It's up to you to decide which ability suits your playstyle. And well, for me, the choice was easy. I pick Judgment. It has an extra damage modifier, as well as a possible status effect, and well, what more do I need to vanquish my enemies?
Indeed.
And after you get your Vera, as you leave university, you're on your way to B-Shop. B-Shop, the place to spend Floki in exchange for various in-game items. Shopkeeper B is a generous person. He will give you a starter set for free to kickstart your journey as a Viking. And this set consists of various NFTs, namely 1 healing potion for when the fighting gets rough, 1 revival potion for when the fighting gets really rough, and 3 musk crystals to obtain new Vera companions. And in addition to the standard potions and crystals, B has various others in stock. Remember to occasionally visit the shop to find out what he has. But next to being generous, B is also a subscriber to what we call the fair use policy.
Indeed, Jack, indeed. This fair use policy also brings us to one of the many play to earn mechanics I hinted at earlier. It basically entails that you can buy a limited amount of items each day per Vera you own. Now, I'm not going to spell it all out for you because I like everyone to discover it on their own, but I can imagine there will be people collecting Vera solely to stack up on items and then sell those items to other Vikings that want to raid.
Exactly. So after obtaining the starter set, you truly set off on your Viking adventure. Floki Island is home to, let's say, several wildlife areas, each of which has its own biome and accompanying Vera. One of these areas has stronger Vera than the others. You'll find out quickly enough when you're in game. As you wander around in these areas, you'll trigger the battle system. And Valhalla uses a turn-based battle system, where Vera battle it out to defeat one another. A battle ends when one of the Vera faints and is thus unable to continue. And each turn, you as a player decide which action to perform. Your Vera can use one of its abilities, or you may use an item, such as one of the potions, or the capturing crystals, or, and this is not very Viking-like, you may attempt to flee. Anyway, after winning a battle, two things happen. One, your Vera gains experience. But two, you gain Floki.
This brings us to a next play to earn mechanic, namely battle rewards. For every Vera you defeat, you receive Floki. And for every Vera you capture, you receive even more Floki. These rewards come from the treasury, and this treasury is fueled by B's shop. So you can imagine, the more people that play, the bigger the rewards. And something to keep in mind, this treasury can also reward you with other valuable tokens and perhaps NFTs.
Oh yeah, and talking about NFTs, just a bit more about the upgradability of them, because I like that part. Namely, you might be aware, or well, you probably are aware, of how NFTs show up in marketplaces. This is also the case for our Vera and the items, but the Vera are the ones that are super cool. As your Vera develops over time, and you put in time, effort, and love into it, its NFT will visibly change. Not only that, you'll be able to interact with it off-chain and on-chain on marketplaces. Just something cool I wanted to say about Vera.
Talking about cool, what about the leaderboards?
Oh yeah, leaderboards. Almost forgot one of the most badass and well geeky features of Valhalla. We keep track of, well, everything. All Vera, all battles, all decisions. And all these things are reflected in the weekly leaderboards. This will be your time to shine and show off your prowess, your skill, and dedication to fellow Vikings. And it won't just be for respect. The leaderboard pays out weekly rewards in Floki, straight from the game treasury. So be awesome and learn Floki whilst doing it. And talking about that, fighting is just the beginning. Vikings don't just sit around. They raid. And to do this, you need a ship. And well, a starter Viking ship is available at B shop. But there are special ships.
Oh, Jackie, let's not spill all the beans.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, then all Viking ships are part of the Valhalla metaverse and open to player customization. So you'll be able to make some beautiful ships out of them. And these ships can be used to travel to other islands and find other unique and rare Vera. For example, in this case, you see me traveling off to the Isle of Lore, where I've encountered Drakis before. But to go there, food is required to make the journey. And to get food, you can either buy it at, well, you might have guessed it, B shop, or through another part of Valhalla, namely the gardening system. More about that in a bit. Anyway, a ship has two important attributes. One, living space, to accommodate you and your Vera, both on the journey to the island and from the island, as well as cargo space, to store your food. And like I said, in this case I'm going on a raid to the Isle of Lore, and the last time I encountered a Drakis, unfortunately, I was a bit too hasty in leaving Floki Island, and the Drakis was pretty freaking strong. But yeah, you'll find out when you visit the Isle yourself. This time I'm geared up, trained up, and ready to kick some ass. And who knows, there are more Vera that I haven't seen, that are yet to be encountered on the Isle of Lore. So I'm looking forward to it. But as much as I like raiding, not all Vikings raid. Some farm. And in collaboration with Kimball Musk's Million Gardens movement, we will be implementing the Valhalla gardening system. Our partnership with Kimball Musk's MGM is one we know the Floki Vikings are very excited about. So you'll be happy to know that the game also integrates MGM, and they are very excited about this fact. We'll be working together with them to refine the gardening section of the game. And for this purpose, Floki Island houses various fertile gardening areas where you can grow and tend to your crops.
Well, speaking about crops, this introduces yet another play-to-earn mechanic. Jackie just spoke about Kimball and his project. In fact, I was one of the people that attended our first partnership meeting with them, and I can assure you once more, they were just as excited about this gardening system in our game as we are. So moving on, about the play-to-earn mechanic, what I was talking about. Again, I'm not going to spell it all out, but you can imagine that Vikings in our metaverse need food to raid. And food supply at B shop is limited. So who will they turn to? You, the farming Viking.
Exactly, Mr. B, exactly. And you mentioned our metaverse, because well, we cannot mention the metaverse. Valhalla is its own, well, Floki's own, our own metaverse. By entering Valhalla, you enter the Floki metaverse, where you see and interact with your fellow Vikings. I mean, what if you could walk around and show your Vera and gear to the rest of the Floki Vikings? What if you'd be able to communicate with one another in-game, in the metaverse? And what if you'd not only be able to customize your ship, but also show it off to all other players and non-players to become the most revered Viking of the 13 Seas? Well, not just what if, this is all possible in the Floki metaverse we call Valhalla.
Nice, indeed, Jackie. Again, I would like to state that what we're going to bring will disrupt the entire blockchain gaming ecosystem. There are quite a few projects that I know that are trying to do it right, but most of the time they are just copying each other's gimmicks without implementing on-chain gameplay. We are going to implement new mechanics, apply the newest NFT tech to make sure that we usher in a new era in blockchain gaming.
Very true and very exciting. And all of this will just be phase 1 of Valhalla. Looking ahead, we have many more things planned. More islands, isles, continents, a clan system, a staking system where you'll be able to capture islands with your clan, the Jormungandr world snake system, world raids where you and your fellow Floki Vikings take on world bosses, Vera evolutions, a seasonal system and day-night cycles for various islands and continents, a housing system where you'll be able to work on the interior and the exterior of your own house, your own Viking house, and show it off to others. And of course, the player versus player system, where you'll not only be able to take on your fellow Vikings 1v1, 3v3, 5v5, but clan v clan, and earn more Floki while you're at it. And so much more. Because as we go through the development phase, you, our beloved Floki Vikings, will be kept in the loop through ESCO Reset weekly updates. So stay tuned. So just to reiterate, Mr. B, perhaps you could take us through the global points we talked about in this presentation.
Oh, most definitely, most definitely. So in conclusion, Valhalla, our industry-disrupting blockchain game with many play-to-earn mechanics. Let me sum this up. We have the MGM gardening system in collaboration with Kimball Musk's project, where you can grow crops and sell them to raiding Vikings. We have the Vera system, where you can buy and sell Vera. We have the battle system, where you can gain Floki upon winning battles and capturing Vera. We also have ships, which you can buy and trade. And we have the item system, where you can stock up on items and sell them to other Vikings. These will all be part of our 3D NFT metaverse. By the way, I haven't forgotten about our Genesis NFTs. I think most people are waiting on me to comment on that. These Genesis NFTs will be usable in this game as power-ups. They will all have their unique powers, and dare I say, if you equip them all at the same time, you might unleash Floki Mandu. Well, Corey, perhaps it's now time for the questions from the community. I would like to know what you've got for us.
Yes, absolutely. So we've got several questions that I've taken down. So I'm looking through it. So I just want to make one quick comment. So I am so excited for this. I mean, if you've been paying attention to the crypto space recently, you've been paying attention to the fact that NFT gaming is kind of a big deal. It's a huge hype factor right now. So we've got Axie Infinity that's just made a massive run up. People are talking about the fact that nobody would ever play that game. I mean, it's huge now, and people are buying and trading their Axies. We've got Starlink that was pumping. We've got so many different things that are doing subsets of what we're planning on doing. And what we're planning on doing, like Jackie and Mr. Brown have said several times, is disrupt this industry. And so we're taking the best parts of what's been done and adding some different components to that with MGM. I mean, I think that the most bullish thing that I heard in the whole presentation was the MGM gardening thing. I mean, it is, first of all, it's really cool that we're partnered with Million Garden Movements, Kimball Musk's project, and working with them on putting together this gardening component to this. But the cooler part of this is that, I mean, there are so many different types of gamers. There are so many different types of people that want to get involved in this. Some people aren't interested in raiding. Some people aren't interested in battling their Vera. There are people that just aren't interested in roaming around this, what's going to be a huge metaverse, a 3D. I don't think that you understand that, a 3D metaverse. Some people just are the casual gamer that like things like Farmville or something like that. And so we're giving people the opportunity to do something that they enjoy to do and profit off of it. So the people that enjoy doing the raiding, they need food. And in order to get that food, they either buy it from B's shop, which Mr. Brown already said, you can only do that to a certain extent. You can only buy a certain amount from B's shop any given day. So if they want to keep playing, they have to buy it from other players. And so that's what is so bullish about this on the Floki token, is that this is all run on the Floki token. And so everything that you do in game is run on that token. There are people that that are that need the Floki token in order to play this game, to purchase things, to trade their Vera, to do all kinds of stuff. I mean, one of the things that I don't think that Mr. Brown or Jackie talked about is that in order to create a character for this game, you have to hold a certain amount of Floki tokens. So that's the value that this brings, is that this is a metaverse that's run on this token. And so, I mean, that's going to drive the value up. Just simple supply and demand. There's going to be a huge demand for the token, and so many people are going to want to hold it in order to play the game, that there's not going to be enough supply, driving up the price. So with all of that, I want to jump in with a couple of the questions that that the community members have asked. And so I answered, or I talked about this a little bit, but I want to ask you, Jackie and Mr. Brown, one of the big questions was, what is the purpose of this, and how does this increase the value of Floki? Do you mind touching on that?
Yeah, I'll begin. I think perhaps Jackie can add where necessary. Like these play to earn mechanics, right? These will involve everyone that's using Floki to buy stuff. Will be using Floki to buy a ship, to customize their ship, to raise, to catch new Vera, and these Vera in itself will also be traded. So while you're playing, you're building on the Floki ecosystem. So money will, yeah. I don't want to give financial advice, and don't want to say like how will this how will this actually drive the token value up. But I from experience I know that if a token is utilized well, people will buy it, people will use it, and when they use it, it makes sense to have it, to hold it. So in that sense alone, with this play to earn mechanics, with this appeal of this game, I think it's hugely bullish. It's really bullish. But again, I'm biased. Perhaps Jackie can add something to that.
Yeah, so I guess I'll add some more bias to your statement. One of the things that excites me most as someone who works on blockchain systems, as a developer of these blockchain contracts, is that the things we're doing aren't done before. What you currently have are NFTs that you buy, and whatever is inside that NFT has already been determined. They don't really change. Some kind of gimmick it through hiding stuff in there beforehand that they don't display yet. But what we'll be doing is launching an entire ecosystem of smart contracts that will be interlinked with one another and the game treasury, making the entire game operate on chain, which means that all the actions you do on chain will actively change your NFT. And yeah, it's really hard for me to explain. Yeah, this excites me so much because none of the games have that. None of all the games either have you buy NFT, you sell NFT, or you buy NFT and you play a game off chain that you can import the NFT in. That's it. What we'll be doing is going to be so awesome.
Perfect. The second question that I have is, who is going to be developing this game? And because I know the answer to that question, can you also explain to me your guys' qualifications?
Well, Jack, go ahead. I think you can start.
Yeah, sure. So we've been working on blockchain systems since around 2013. It's been a while. And we've worked on games in blockchain since around the same time Axie Infinity started, 2017, but with less focus on marketing, more focus on the technical aspects of the contracts surrounding the game, so the gaming ecosystem. So I believe now is a good time to actually start doing the cool stuff on chain. And in addition to that, well, there are quite a few great designers on board, as well as lore developers, game artists, game designers, QA testers. It's going to be great.
Yeah, to add to that, we definitely have built, we have experience within the NFT space, and perhaps something to add, something that I see flying by, like these animations, right? These the Floki Island you saw earlier. That's not a depiction of how it will look in the real game. It's all concept art, and yeah, if I compare what we've got coming to what's around right now, we will definitely, I think, blow a lot of minds. And something else perhaps to consider after this all is done. I know there has been a lot of information to digest. We will be releasing a light paper in which you can, well, review the details, perhaps dive more deeper into our metaverse. So Corey, go ahead. If there are any other questions.
Perfect. Yeah, there are more questions. So just to sum up what you guys said, you guys are developing this. You have a couple of other developers, game artists, 3D artists working within your team, and development has already started on it. The next question is several people have asked, what is a metaverse? Can you kind of just explain what a metaverse is?
Depends if you want my interpretation or the technical statement on it. But a metaverse basically is a shared space in where people can interact with each other. So we see a lot of different NFT metaverses going around, or not even NFT metaverses, but just metaverses. They are shared individuals or shared spaces. It can be virtual reality. It can be just sitting behind your desktop and clicking, and you can interact with other people in that same space. What we're going to be doing is implementing, and I think that's being overlooked here, we're going to be implementing a game in the metaverse. That's something that has not been done yet. I haven't seen it anywhere. The only thing I know that's doing close to this is a 2D, like, how do you call it, the RuneScape kind of environment. The thing we're going to do in the metaverse is revolutionary. I can't say it enough. But yeah, again, metaverse is just a space where people can interact with each other and show off their gear, or just communicate with each other, walk around and explore like the area.
Another question that was raised is, will there be, or will we be releasing a test beta at some point?
Good point. Good point. So actually, what I had in mind for our diamond tier holders was involving them in beta testing. So we will definitely involve the community, like you said already, and Jackie said it as well. We're going to provide you guys with weekly updates with what's going on behind the scenes, and we will make sure our loyal following, or the loyal Vikings, will be kept up to date along the way.
The final question that I have written down currently is, several people have asked whether new Floki will be minted. I mean, I can answer this question. The answer to that's no. But I'll just confirm with you guys that we are not minting new Floki in order to launch this game, correct?
Oh, 100%. We would never mint new Floki. At the top of the stream, you can see what Jackie clearly put there. It's 9.1 trillion, I think, circulating supply, and that will not change. We will not use new Floki to make this game or implement it or whatever. Everything will stay the same in that regard.
Perfect. Final question is, what I just want to ask you guys each, what is the most exciting thing in your mind about Valhalla?
Well, yeah, I'm going to answer it, and then Jackie perhaps. I was looking for a game where I could actually play a game and see my NFTs change as I play it. Like nowadays, you just need to, well, perhaps you will with on-chain interactions, you will need to send your NFT to a contract and then receive a new NFT in place. But what we're doing is something entirely new. That's like dynamic NFTs. The NFTs will change. If you decide to level, Jackie explained it about the moves. If you decide to choose a certain move out of a move pool when it reaches level 8, your Vera, then you will see that move and the animation of that move reflected on your NFT. That's what I'm most excited about. But I'm a bit of an NFT geek, so perhaps that's something. Yeah, I'm biased.
I
Jack, go
think
ahead.
I agree. Not just that one move, but all the moves of your Vera will be displayable on the NFT. Not only that, you'll be able to cycle through them as you view these NFTs. You'll be able to see how much a player has changed a Vera from its starting state in its life cycle. You'll be able to see how yours compares to all the others. Even if yours might be weaker physically than a certain Vera, you might make up for it tactically. So, yeah, really looking forward to seeing all the interactions.
All right. I actually saw one more question, and if anybody else has any questions, throw it up into chat. But is this going to be on the ETH network or the BSC network?
Jack,
I'll
do you
take the
want to take it?
question. Yeah, sure. Initially, we'll be deploying the game on the BSC network. This has a few reasons, but most notably, because you need to do these on-chain interactions, we need to make sure that you'll be able to do them rapidly enough for the game to proceed in a fast enough manner.
Perfect. All right. Well, I think that concludes the presentation, guys and girls. I am so excited about this. I mean, I I have been involved in cryptocurrency since 2013 as well. I've recently got involved in NFTs. I'm nowhere near the experts that Jackie and Mr. Brown are. Their expert or their expertise in gaming, in NFTs, in the crypto space in general. But I enjoy um, uh, kind of the idea of being able to roam around in a metaverse. But the thing that I always thought was lacking in all these metaverse types games, like the Starlinks, like the network, things like that, is that although there are some mini games that you can do in there, there's not much appeal, in my opinion, to continuing to move forward and anything that's going on there. I mean, this is truly one of the first projects that I've seen that incorporates this open world metaverse idea that you can interact with your friends, that you can buy lands, that you can buy ships as your so that you can buy ships, that you can trade and purchase and sell these creatures and stuff like that, but at the same time have an awesome kind of cool gameplay component to it. Things that people actually enjoy to play for years to come, not something that you just roam around, advertise, have your house, and then there's nothing really left to do after that. I mean, this is just awesome, and I think that it's an incredible opportunity. It is because it's run on the Floki token. It is going to drive up demand. The supply is going to drop, and so I mean, just very simply, supply and demand is what brings value to tokens. So I'm extremely bullish on this. I'm extremely excited about it. Jackie and Mr. Brown, if you have anything to close out with, I'm all ears. But otherwise, I think that we can go ahead and end out the live stream.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for watching and bearing with us. I understand not all answers have been answered, but I can assure you, things behind the screens. I see marketing questions and all those things are being handled stellarly. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'm pretty sure we will surprise all of you.